Coach Mack joins us now in studio thanks to Farm Bureau Health Plans. Coach, what's up?
Well, I had a meeting on West End, and then I looked down at my watch, and I said, I'm coming on with the guys and the lady pretty quick, so let me just stop here and do this.
I love it.
Appreciate you coming back.
I love it when you're in studio, Coach.
Yeah, I like being in here with studio with you guys. I don't get to see you much anymore.
I know.
Yeah, what's happening? Anything going on around?
I don't know. No big news.
You know, somebody asked me just recently, and it's not a recent question, but they asked me, what do you do in the off season? I said, let me know when that is.
Yeah.
There's not.
Let me know when the off season
year.
in the National Football League is.
You know, it's funny, too, because just from an NFL standpoint and a sports landscape standpoint, the NFL has figured out a way to dominate almost every month of the calendar.
Man.
The month of June is just
one.
the month of June is just about what it's boiled down to. When I first started, I mean, we basically had 4 months where, because there was no free agency, there was no salary cap. So you basically had 4 months. And because of that, you had the same team coming back year after year after year. So your playbook was done 3 weeks after the season was over with because you had the same dudes. All you did was add to it. It's a different world now. It's a completely different world now. So that was my answer to that question is let me know when it starts, and I'll let you know what I'm going to do.
Like that. Knee deep in it already, huh, Coach?
Yeah, well, you guys are you guys going to the Senior Bowl? You guys going to the Combine? Are you guys doing that?
I think those are Buck Rising things. Yeah. We are going to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Okay, you're going to Phoenix in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yep.
Restaurants, let me know.
Oh, yes.
You know we're going to text you, Coach, man.
Are you going to go? Are you going to go to the
today.
Super Bowl?
I might.
Okay.
Joe Hunk's
He
going.
just plays. Yeah, we got Hunk going, too.
Joe Hunk's going?
Yeah.
All right, Joe Hunk, that's great. You three can go to the restaurants I recommend. Joe, they're going to have to bring you takeout.
Sorry, Hunk.
I'll just walk around and have a sign on the side of the road.
There you go.
That'd be great. Yeah, we'll do that.
All right, Coach Mack, big news. Obviously, the Titans hired a guy that you know well in Ran Carthon.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, when we took the job, when Jeff Fisher took the job at St. Louis and I went with him, you know, the Rams were coming off a 15-65 5-year run, which is the worst in the history of the National Football League. So that thing was a mess, a huge mess. Rand came with Les Snead from Atlanta.
Which was his first job, just so all the listeners know.
Yeah,
Atlanta, that he spent, 5 years there? That was his first job after playing.
Yes. And so immediately, I mean, you know, and especially when you go in someplace new, I was an assistant head coach. So at that point in my career, I mean, I was a conduit between a lot of different departments and the football department and the head coach. And you know, one of the things, you know, you got to find out quick is when everybody's new put together, who you can trust, how this is going to work, how this is going to fit. And immediately, you know, I told you guys, Ran Carthon was a guy that just stood out to us. We said, okay, here's a guy. Brad Holmes was another one who's now the GM up there at Detroit. And then Ray Agnew, who's the assistant GM now at Detroit. Those are three guys that, look, I've been in the business long enough that, and you guys have been in this business long enough, you know when you're working with someone new, it doesn't take you very long to discern whether they've got the timber or not only to do the job that they are at in the present, but to have ability to advance in their career.
Yeah.
And Ran Carthon was one of those guys immediately that you went, yeah, okay. So, I mean, Ran and I have been fairly close for 11 years now because, you know, even, you know, when we both left there at the same time, both there 5 years at the Rams, both left at the same time. I came here. He went to the 49ers. And then, of course, you know, I keep in touch with a lot of people in this league. All's at the Combine. Ran Carthon, but he was the guy immediately that you went, okay, this guy's legit.
Yeah.
What was it about him?
That's
like,
work ethic is number one.
Stood out?
Number one's work ethic. It completely egoless, all right, and completely honest with everything that goes on. And then
sometimes hard to find in this business, too.
Well, it is, and a fantastic connector with everybody that he works with. And I'm talking about from players all the way up, you know, to the people that he worked with, to the people that were in the building, to all the assistants that you have that work with you. I mean, he is, and he was legit. His office and my office were very close to each other, both in St. Louis and then when we moved to L.A. And he and Ray Agnew, you know, were the pro personnel department. So those two were very close. But don't get this mistaken that just pro personnel doesn't mean they were both involved in every aspect of it. And I was involved for 5 years in when you sit in draft meetings, you know, for a month and a half or 2 months, and everybody's reading their reports, and then the discussions start. And I mean, you can really tell what a person is just with the conviction and also the preparation that they read draft reports, because it gets down to the minute details. Yeah. But you also have to have a conviction, and you can tell the people are just kind of trying to mimic what they've heard, or they actually have a real idea of what they're talking about and looking for. And, well, you know, as I say, Ran Carthon knew it all. He had it, and he just had it. And the biggest thing is that as coaches, you know, because, you know, I was an assistant head coach, and as coaches, you trusted him. Yeah. And that's big.
He and John Lynch walk in there together. His role, because I'm, you know, you got to school me this, Coach Mack, you know, and I'm always ask a question. Director of pro personnel.
Okay, let me just say what that is. First
Okay.
of all, pro personnel, you know, you've got a department that they are, and you divide your department up. They're scanning rosters all year because clearly, you know, what have the Titans gone through the last 2 years? You've got to know who's who in the zoo on practice squads.
Yeah.
You've got to know what their background, their history is from their collegiate days, how you had them graded on your backboard, how people had them graded. So that's part of what you do too. Okay. But within that, you also have to be very, very up to date. Nobody gets away from the collegiate. Nobody gets away from the collegiate evaluations. Yeah. Nobody in the personnel departments in the National Football League ever gets away from that. Okay. Ever gets away from that. All right. Does that help you?
That does help me.
Okay.
But the only reason I asked, because after that, John Lynch said he was quickly apparent that Carthon was more than just a talent evaluator. Well, so he automatically thrust into another role.
I mean, John Lynch is pretty good. I mean, I think I'm a pretty good resource. I think John Lynch pretty good resource too. Yeah. And that's exactly what, you know. You just know. You know if somebody's got that timber to them, that there's some really depth to what they're doing and who they are, and he's all of that.
The one thing I was thinking about, you know, a lot of times those guys, like along their path, go from that pro personnel thing to assistant GM. He's skipping that step. Does that mean anything to you at all?
No, not at all. Because everybody's doing everything. It's just a matter of titles within the building. A lot of times, and we've seen guys be very successful going from not being coordinators to being head coaches. Okay, I mean, it just depends on the person. Yeah, and so there's not just incremental steps that you have to take. I think it's also, you know, who you are, and clearly he did a nice job in his interviews. I think that Amy Adams Strunk and her group did a great job of assembling a wide net and some very capable people that they interviewed, including the two in-house candidates, you know, Monty Ossenfort and Ran Carthon, because clearly everybody else in the league thought that also. And then you look at the other people. I've been doing, you know, quite a few interviews out in Phoenix, you know, since they hired Monty Ossenfort. So I think Amy Adams Strunk, I know they cast a really wide net. They had the right people in, and then it just becomes how you feel the fit is, you know, for you as the ownership to them, and then of course the people that you're interviewing. How do they feel like they relate to you too? So clearly, it's a good fit.
Some people in our chat were asking if you were instrumental in this hire. So
Absolutely
I'll let you go ahead and tell them.
Not.
Right.
Look, that's not my role anymore. And as I say, that's not my role. I am very content. I've done every job in the National Football League besides being owner. I can't do that. Okay, I won't be able to do that. I've done. Don't look at me like I slank. I've done everything else, and I love the position and the role that I'm in now, and I understand, you know, everything that goes into that. Yeah. But was I instrumental? Absolutely not. Am I happy? Yes, because I've got too many connections in the National Football League at all different levels to know that, you know, as soon as this announcement was made, they hit me going, Mac, really a good deal. And I said, absolutely.
And see, that was one of the things I had said, Babsy, like, you can't hide in this league. You can't. Sports world is so small, you can't hide. If it's something to be out there if it's something to turn over and find out what it is, it's easy to find out in the sports world. And if you're in that world, and you're in there.
It's a small circle.
Right.
Just like what y'all do is a small circle. If you're bad at what you're doing behind this microphone, sooner or later you'll be found out.
Right.
Because you're just out there. I mean, it's a public thing that you do. But in the circle of the National Football League, everyone knows everybody else. And especially, you know, you think it's 32 separate entities, which it is, but it's all part of one big entity. And when you really realize it, when you've been in it, for over 3 decades like I have, is everybody talks. Yeah. Everybody talks. And then you learn the people that you can trust, because those are the people you can talk to that they never talk about it. That's important.
So I have a question for you. I don't know how you're going to be able to answer it. Here it comes. There was some talk that perhaps there was a little bit of maybe a power struggle between J-Rob and Mike Vrabel. We know, because most coaches are like this, right? We know Vrabes is a control freak, wants to be in charge. How do you see Ran's personality meshing with the personality of Mike Vrabel?
Well, I think it'll be good. And I'm not sure there was a power struggle. There's a lot of things that go on, guys, at the upper echelon of National Football League buildings that you'll never know unless you're involved in it. Yeah. I was involved in a lot of those upper echelon decisions. And when I write my book, I'll let you know how it works.
I can't wait.
But there's things that go on that you just don't know. I don't believe there was a power struggle. The thing that I do know, though, is this. I know Ran Carthon. I know Mike Vrabel. They are both true to the blood NFL dudes, and they're going to have one goal and one goal only. Win. And that's win. Yeah. And there's a lot of different ways you can do it. So do I think – look, I don't think he would have been hired because, Mike Vrabel, they said they were going to involve him in this process. I don't think – and look, when you're a head coach and they're going to interview a GM, it happened to me once in my career, you're going to have to – you're involved in it. Now, you may not be the sole decision maker is always the owner of the club, because that's their prerogative, that's their right, and that's the way it should be. And there is a hierarchy the way it should be, but and there's going to be there'll be hard times. There always are.
Yeah, without question.
Because you're not going to agree on everything.
Well, no, and you don't want that. But what you do want is you want honest opinions, and then you want honest decisions made together, because that's the only way it works.
So give me an honest opinion real quick, Coach Mack.
Have I ever given you a dishonest one?
You are absolutely speaking facts. No, you have not.
Because here, that's like when somebody says, with all due respect, they're going to say something that's not going to respect you.
Yeah.
Okay? Go ahead.
So I apologize for that, Coach Mack.
Don't apologize. Don't ever apologize to me.
Okay. God love him, and then boom.
Hit him over the head with it.
Yeah.
This is what I want to know. When GMs come into situations, a lot of times in any sport, you always hear, hey, man, it may be some friction because they usually like to come in with their own guy, their own head coach. When you see ADs come in, when coaches get fired, you always say, well, that wasn't his guy. When you're looking at it and you're talking about the scouting department, you talked about how you got to have people around you that you can trust because they're out there doing the work for you. Is that the same thing? Like when you bring a GM in, he has to have people going out there because he doesn't have all the eyes. And the scouting department and all of that is an issue. Is it him to bring in his own guys, the people that he trusts to trickle down and stay up under his umbrella?
Well, you understand that Ran has been a working personnel person.
Yeah.
Up to this, so he's
even more so. So he tied in.
So he's completely tied in with everything.
Right.
All right, and that's the way this world is. And this draft, when you're hired as a GM at this time of year, normally when most GMs are hired, you can't bring in a bunch of people and say we're going to start over.
Right.
I mean, they've already been working on this draft class,
True.
From last year. So
True.
I mean, that's an evolving process.
Okay.
That's an evolving process.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've got a very competent group up there now. I mean, I've been involved in several of these, two, I think, where when you're meshing that together, but all of that stuff works itself out. That is something that's fluid that works from the start.
Okay.
But you have to begin with making a decision on who that person's going to be, and then everything else starts to work off of it. I really look forward to when you guys have him on a program. And you'll find out, because the main thing you've got to find out, and you guys know this, and that's why every now and then I like to come in here in person and look you in the eyes. You guys know me, but when you talk with somebody, you can tell whether they're telling you exactly the truth,
Yeah.
or they're telling you from who they are, or if they're trying to be somebody else and tell you things that they think you might want to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys will be impressed when Ran comes in to talk to you.
And the only reason I was asking that is because just like you have people in place here and it is a process, he's coming from a place where they had a process about doing things and it was really, really working. You know what I'm saying?
And that's part of it. And that's what you do. You try to blend, philosophies all of the time.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
The National Football League, in any department, all the way down to the players, is made up of a collective group of people from a lot of different aspects. Yeah. And that's what makes it work. Okay. But you have to be, for one goal.
Yeah, I want to go back to something you said earlier that I thought was interesting, you and Slate. I always say this, and it's true. Sports is the ultimate meritocracy. If you can't go, you ain't going.
Yeah.
No, that's 100% right. And I mean, it's just because everything is out there.
Yeah. Because people in a lot of other jobs can get higher than maybe they should be based on relationship and things like that, But in sports, man, you can't go.
Because it's all out there, and we all of us in our careers and the careers that we're in now, and still with the people that we know that are in the business world, and some people that we know that are very, very successful in the business world, but nobody ever knows how they do it. You don't know how they do it, and you don't really know how, because there's so many different factors. The factor in the National Football League or in the NBA or in professional baseball, sooner or later. I mean, I thought I was really good at what I was doing, but I got let go because you got to win games too. And so, I mean, it is what I tell you. Mike Dick has said: great game, brutal business.
Yeah, Coach Mack.
Yeah. You got.
I wanted to keep playing, Coach Mack, and in my mind, I was showing up in practice. I wanted to keep on going, but. It was them young Thundercats coming in at 25, 26.
Well, and that's the other thing is that you've got to have enough get up and go to you to understand that every day is an interview.
Yeah.
In this business, just like you guys, you're on the air a lot, so every day is an interview for you too.
Absolutely right.
Especially today, our big bosses are here.
Yeah, like
corporate.
Well, look,
they come in here with a.
I thought they sent Mac in here to make sure everything was going all right.
That's right.
I talked to them before I came in here. I wasn't supposed to let y'all know that. I talked to them right before I came in.
I'm waiting for that door to open.
If the corporate bosses didn't like y'all wouldn't be in here with me right now. So
that's definitely true.
That's true.
Bring your playbook.
Slade and I talked to them. I don't know, 2 o'clock.
What? Did you hear what Hunk said? Bring your playbook. Hunk, it's not like that anymore. It's bring your iPad.
That's right.
It's bring your Microsoft Surface.
Yeah.
Bring your iPad.
Ain't that the truth?
Straight up,
well,
man.
good. Well, I'm excited.
I'm good. I'm excited with it too.
Well, I want you guys. I'm looking forward to you guys meeting him. When's his press conference? Friday?
I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah,
no, it's Friday. I don't think that's out there necessarily, but there you go.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking it's supposed to be. Right?
No, but they said somebody said I thought it might have been on ESPN or some of Bucks. Somebody said it, but he's supposed to do it before the game. So a day or two before the game. So
it's either going to be tomorrow or Friday. So I'm looking forward to you guys because he'll make the rounds as you always do when you get a new job, and you guys will clearly be in the flagship station. Get a chance to visit with Ran, and that's to me. You can form your own opinions, but I'm pretty solid knowing who he is.
Yeah.
That what your opinions will be.
I also expect him to be on our show on Friday as well. So, yeah.
That went out there.
Subtle announcement.
Yeah, exactly right.
Isn't that some kind of commercial thing too? In that little bugle playing.
That's for me, Coach.
Is it some kind of butter or something? Or what's he doing in there?
Golly.
Is it the Mattress King or something
Slate
like that?
clearly knows it.
No, it's butter.
It's there. It's right there. I'm with you.
It's margarine.
Coach said it's butter.
It's butter. It's margarine or it's butter or something like that. What is it, Hunk?
Golly.
I don't know.
I'm all right on top of that, Rose.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick on the way out. I know we're late, which is not good when the corporate guys are here.
No, okay, it's my
fault. But this is important. Listen, content is important. Thoughts on Schwartzy going to Cleveland?
Good for Schwartz.
Yeah.
And I think the time that he spent here was very good for him.
Yeah.
It was very good for the Titans.
Kind of clear the palate a little bit.
I know that, I mean, he needed that respite.
Yeah.
Okay. He needed that time for a lot of reasons that, are up to him to tell you why it was. But, Schwartzy and I are pretty close too. But, his family stayed here the whole time, when he was at some other places. They wanted to raise their kids here, wanted to be down there at the schools, and I went to every game, the home game that his son played, Christian played there at NBA. Schwartz would fly in on a private plane on
It's
Fridays.
funny how many families of guys that are in that world do that.
Just to be well,
they move here and then they love it and they stay.
But and too, I mean, your wife's in the real estate business. It's different than from coaches anymore. When I first started, you could buy a house and then you could flip it and sell it pretty quick,
right?
Make money and then move somewhere else. Now, with the way things have worked, especially since 2008, you need to find a place. And
every market's different too.
Every market's different,
like
and then those coaches that had kids in school, all of a sudden that's important.
Yeah,
I mean, really important.
Hunk, what do you got?
Imperial margarine.
You knew it. Butter, margarine. Well, butter's not margarine, but margarine.
Oh.
You got it.
I found a commercial from 1971.
They think Coach Mack out here just talking.
Let me tell you,
man.
Coach Mack's been at this stuff a long time.
Come on, man.
So there's not
71, Coach.
There's not a whole lot that gets past me, and sooner or later I'm going to forget it all, but not yet.
I love it. You called Slay to congratulate him. You're like, I'm out here doing Coach Mack things.
My guy, man.
I gotta congratulate you.
My guy, baby.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Coach
Coach.
Mack.
Tell corporate not to be mad at you.
Yeah,
it's my fault if we went over.